and welcome back once again. I'm Andrea M, and this is a special report for Real Crime Down Under. And today, once again, I'm sadly presenting yet another ongoing current case in Australia. And this case began last week with the alleged Channel 10 presenter Jesse Baird and his partner Luke Davies. Last Friday, Jesse Baird's ex-partner, Sydney Police Officer Beau Lamar Condon, was officially charged with the murders of Jesse and Luke. I have been monitoring the story over the past week to see how it would develop, and I will continue to do so as it continues to develop because it's ongoing and happening right now. But if you're new here and you've not seen me before, like I said, hi guys, my name is Andrea and I present real crime, missing persons cases, strange phenomena and the paranormal here on the channel every week. So if that feels interesting to you, could you please consider subscribing if you've not done so already, as I'd love to see you coming back each week. And to all the subscribers that just joined me in the last week, thank you so much. We just hit 502 subscribers today. So we are well on our way to becoming monetized, and I still need 500 more of you to join my little family here. And what that means is if you subscribe to my channel and I hit my 1,000 subscribers, I start being paid for my videos. It also brings nice little perks for you guys like channel memberships, merch, exclusive content if you become a channel member, and a little bit more income for myself, which means I can finally start to buy some decent camera and sound equipment to make better videos for you guys, and I'll also be able to travel a lot more to bring a little bit of diversity to the channel. So if you'd love to help me out with that, that would be great. I would love that, and I'd love to see you coming back every week. So that being said, let's take a look at this case as it has unfolded over the past week. Now, before we actually take a look at the tragic events that took place, I'd like you all to get to know our two missing men, Jesse Baird and Luke Davies. Jesse Baird was 28 years old and a popular personality working as a TV presenter for Channel 10 Australia. His partner Luke Davies recently attained his dream job as a flight attendant for Qantas on their international circuit. Described by friends as a happy young couple who loved life, their friends, and each other. Both moving relatively recently to Sydney for their chosen careers and were considered rising stars in both of their chosen occupations. Baird was a TV natural whose future was bright, dazzlingly bright, and that was said by 10 presenter Angela Bishop. And Davies was known to friends for his passion, his excitement, and his sense of adventure. But hopes for the couple's bright future together were snuffed out at 2:05 p.m. on this Friday just gone, when Homicide Squad Detective Superintendent Daniel Doherty confirmed that murder charges had been laid against police officer Beau Lamar Condon for the alleged homicides of Baird and Davies.
Just after 10:30 a.m, police arrested a 28-year-old man in relation to the suspicious disappearance of two men from Paddington, 26-year-old Jesse Baird and 29-year-old Luke Davies. He was arrested at Bondi, taken to Waverley Police Station, placed in custody. The update is, at this stage, charges have been submitted for 2 counts of murder. He will be formally refused bail by police and expected to face court at some stage, whether it be today or tomorrow. Through the evidence that's been located to date, both the items in the skip bin that had blood on them and certain identification of other items, and through the examination of the crime scene at Paddington, where a large amount of blood was located. Police also located a projectile at the premises which had been discharged, and also a fired cartridge case. This has now been ballistically matched to a New South Wales police firearm, and forms part of the evidence and the alleged facts that have faced court for this 28-year-old man.
It's hard to put into words our devastation, said a friend of Jesse's, Brett Roseberry. I will cherish the times we had together. Network 10 senior editor Hugh Remington, a colleague and friend of Baird, said, colleagues were heartbroken and in shock. Baird 28 had worked with 10 as a presenter and a reporter until recently and was regarded as a future star in the television world. So Jesse Baird actually grew up in Melbourne's suburbs in the northeast before his TV work took him to Brisbane and then to Sydney last year. Jesse was a keen water skier and motorbike rider and played competitive amateur AFL before moving into AFL umpiring. Jesse was climbing the professional umpiring ranks and was due to officiate at a pre-season match between the Sydney Swans and the GWS Giants on Wednesday, and he never got to do it. The tragedy is his life was going so well, Remington said. Jesse had new job offers that were exciting him. He had a new man in his life and he was loving his AFL work. He was fit and handsome and doing what he loved. And Jesse Baird was beloved by many people. He had a great spirit about him and the guy was loved by everybody. AFL Chief Executive Andrew Dillon said he was deeply saddened and pledged support to Baird's family. The entire AFL family's thoughts are with Jesse and Luke's families. So Luke Davies, Jesse's partner, shared Baird's love of travel and the beach, and his friend Rory Grant said that he had been excited about his new job, travelling the world with Qantas. He felt very lucky. He was a kind, beautiful soul with a cheeky smile and was adored by his friends, Grant said. I can't believe he's gone and what a tragic waste. Davies' friend, Adam Earnshaw, said that he was absolutely shattered, but it was hard not to think of Luke and immediately smile. He had such a lust for life and for adventure. He would go on to say, I fondly remember our trips and late night chats, from monkeys attacking him in Bali to rainforest walks in Cairns and partying in Sydney. Luke was always up for adventure. Another friend, Ben Bartlett, said, Luke radiated happiness and warmth. He was so excited by his new life in Sydney and had the world at his feet. We are devastated. Davies' colleagues said he was a respected and well-liked member of the cabin crews. He was just a lovely soul and a beautiful human being, said Terry O'Toole, Federal Secretary of the Flight Attendants Association of Australia. People are shocked at how tragic this is, and that's just an outpouring of care and love for him. Davies had been working on international Qantas flights for about 4 months, only 4 months, and had previously worked with Tiger Airways. Our thoughts are with the family, friends and colleagues of our crew member at this very difficult time, and that was said in a statement by Qantas. When news of the homicide charges broke on Friday afternoon, tributes to the pair posted on social media quickly soared into the thousands. These were two lovely young guys, most beloved, with their whole lives ahead of them. And I find every homicide case is heart-wrenching, but particularly when it comes to people who are in the prime of their lives. They're young, or they're just embarking on a new career or a new marriage. It's just so sad. So please keep the families of Jesse and Luke and their colleagues and friends in your prayers at this truly horrific time for them. So the police have released a timeline of what they believed led to one of their own, Beau Lamar Condon, allegedly taking the lives of Jesse and Luke. While he has been charged, we are still going to say allegedly because we have not found their bodies yet. Baird's former partner, Beau Lamar Condon, a serving New South Wales police officer, was charged with 2 counts of homicide after handing himself into Bondi Police Station on Friday morning. Police alleged that Lamar Condon unalived the 2 men after Baird's Paddington home in Sydney's inner east somewhere between 12 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning, so just a week ago, and then used a hired white van to transport and dispose of the bodies. It is alleged his police weapon was used, and neither of the men's bodies have yet been found, and that is current. As of this morning, they have still not found Jesse or Luke. Here's how one of Sydney's most shocking stories unfolded over the past week. It began with police saying they held grave concerns for the pair on Wednesday after their bloodied clothes were found behind a skip bin in the southern suburb of Cronulla, which is about 30 kilometres away from Jesse Baird's home. At this stage, that was Wednesday of last week, and Jesse and Luke have been missing ever since, but they were missing officially since the Monday. So the timeline that the police have put together so far begins as follows. Sunday, February 18. The couple go out with friends on Sunday night at Sydney's inner city Beresford Hotel in a pre-Mardi Gras party. And if you're not from Australia or you're not familiar with our tourism scene over here and you've never heard of the Sydney Mardi Gras, what that is a celebration of the gay, lesbian, the trans community. Anybody who ascribes to that way of life, identifies as that. That is like their celebration. It's like their gay pride celebration that they have in early March every year in Sydney. Everybody gets dressed up. There's a float procession. And it's usually just a really happy time for that part of Sydney's community. This year I don't think it's going to be so much. I do hope that they go along, that they still hold their Mardi Gras and they do go along as they have every. I am thinking this year they're going to probably dedicate the entire Mardi Gras to Jesse and Luke, which would be really lovely. Be a lovely way to remember Jesse and Luke. So we move to the Monday, February 19. So Jesse and Luke returned to Jesse's plush rented terrace home in Paddington in Sydney's eastern suburbs in the early morning hours of Monday, and as the police are telling us. So neighbours did allegedly hear some shouting and a disturbance coming from the home, but they didn't find it alarming at the time, they said. And also, interestingly, and you'll know why this is interesting as the case progresses, a white van was also spotted outside the home at this time. So police believe the couple were both unalived sometime between 12 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. on February 19. Moving to Tuesday, February 20. Jesse Baird's phone is said to have been used to send messages to friends and update his WhatsApp status, and it records him as last online at 11:45 p.m. on Tuesday. Also on that day, Lamar Condon calls in sick to work, but returns his police firearm to a suburban police station. Wednesday, February 21 at 11 a.m, a groundskeeper at Club Cronulla in Sydney's south discovers the bloody possessions and clothing belonging to the couple, which were dumped in the skip bin, or the dumpster as it's called in other countries, in the street. The discovery then triggers an urgent search for the 2 men. At 1 p.m, and this is all on the same day, a check on Mr. Baird's home finds bloodstains on the furniture and floorboards, but still no trace of Jesse or Luke. A further check on Luke's home in Waterloo also shows no sign of the pair. Moving to Thursday, February 22. 2:15 p.m, police admit they have extremely grave concerns for the men and are appealing for them to get in touch. By 5 p.m, it emerges police are also seeking Jesse Baird's ex-boyfriend, Police Constable Beau Lamar Condon, whom they have been unable to contact. Friends tell investigators that Jesse was worried that he was being stalked by a police officer, and this is important for later. Lamar Condon's name is then raised with police. By 10 p.m, the white van believed to have been the one in the CCTV footage is spotted in the Lambton suburb of Newcastle. This is the van that they spotted outside Jesse's home. And that was a whole 165 kilometres north of Sydney. At 11:30 p.m, police raid the home of Lamar Condon's relatives in Balmain in Sydney's inner west and seize a number of items after searching the home. At 2 a.m, and this is moving to Friday at 2 a.m, police open a new crime scene in Newcastle, 165 kilometres away, as I said before, sealing off the street in Lambton after a white van matching that description was spotted in the area, and the area it was spotted in was Caroola Road near Lambton Pool. By 9:55 a.m, Lamar Condon's cell phone miraculously comes back to life and he begins accepting calls again. By 10:30 a.m, Lamar Condon actually hands himself in to police at Bondi Police Station. By 2:15 p.m, police confirm Lamar has been charged with the 2 counts of homicide. And as I'm getting the information, it is the other word that begins with M that is used here, but YouTube kind of don't like that word, so that is why I'm using terms such as unalived and homicide, because there's certain words that YouTube just doesn't like us in the true crime community to use. So I do have to censor myself. So if you're wondering why I'm saying these things instead of the words you're expecting, that's why. We're just trying to play by the rules. Moving to 2:30 p.m. that day, just 15 minutes later, the white Toyota Hiace with New South Wales registration CW82PM is located and news.com.au films it being removed from Sydney's Grays Point in Sydney's south. Police say it is important we get the movements in relation to the van, as hopefully we can find the bodies, and that's important for the families. At 3:45 p.m, Lamar Condon briefly appears before Waverley Local Court on Friday wearing a black t-shirt. After Beau Lamar Condon was taken into custody, more chilling details surrounding the alleged homicides were released. So according to family and friends of Jesse Baird, Jesse told them he felt he had been stalked in the months and weeks leading up to the day he and Luke were reported as missing. So remember before Jesse said he felt a police officer was stalking him. So Jesse Baird would tell friends that he saw a shadowy figure at the end of his bed late at night and recent months before he and partner Luke Davies were allegedly unalived by his ex-partner, as we just said, serving policeman Beau Lamar Condon. And interestingly, the break-in at his Paddington home was not reported to the police, and I'm not sure why that was. This development came shortly before the New South Wales Police confirmed they had established an additional crime scene on the southern tablelands on Sunday. And this news came to hand late yesterday of the search the police conducted at Bungonia on Sunday in the Southern Highlands. So this is quite an area reach from Sydney. So they brought in divers from the Marine Area Command and spent part of Sunday afternoon searching a dam off Hazelton Road at Bungonia, and that is about 33 kilometres south of Goulburn, in the hope of locating the bodies of Jesse and Luke. However, so far, the search is still continuing. So far, that search failed to locate either of the missing believed homicide victims. Police began searching the property at Bungonia over the weekend as Deputy Police Commissioner David Hudson told the media on Monday, just yesterday, that police will allege in a court that a rented van was at the centre of their investigation and was driven to a property in Bungonia, 33 kilometres south of Goulburn, 2 days after the murders. However, the bodies have not been found there, and that is despite a very extensive search over the weekend. And they are also investigating whether the bodies may have been relocated during a time gap in the timeline that the detectives have pieced together. And that gap is when Lamar Condon is not available anywhere and has called in sick to work, and when his cell phone has miraculously come back to life on the Thursday morning. You've got nearly a week. That's plenty of time to move things around and get things straight before you just decide to come back to life and start talking to people again. So the police are also alleging a padlock and an angle grinder were purchased at a local hardware store near Bungonia, and weights from a department store were purchased last Wednesday. The angle grinder, as they've found out as they've conducted the investigation, was used to sever a padlock from the gate of that particular rural property and was subsequently the padlock was replaced with the padlock purchased from the hardware store. So Deputy Commissioner Hudson said it would be a part of the police case that the accused had called in sick right after the couple went missing. And what he would go on to say was, my understanding was he was on a recurrent leave day and then availed himself on the Wednesday and Thursday for 2 sick days, allegedly for a minor operation, he said. Police say gunshots were heard by neighbours just minutes before a 000 call was placed from Mr. Baird's phone on Monday of last week. And those of you who are watching from overseas, if you've not watched my videos or other Australian crime presenters before, our emergency number for Australia is 000. So it's like the 911 for the US or 999 for UK. Ours is 000. So that call disconnected before anyone spoke to the operator, and the police say they don't know whether it was placed by Jesse or by another person. Former colleagues of Mr. Baird were receiving text messages from his phone on Tuesday evening, police will allege. On Friday, police said whoever sent those messages will form part of the evidence provided to the courts. And who had use of that phone is still to be established at this stage. So Deputy Commissioner Hudson also said police will allege in court that the spent cartridge found at the scene was from a Glock pistol that had been signed out from the Miranda police station several days earlier. The gun, we know, was signed out from the Miranda police station where it is normally stored. And that was last Thursday for the purposes of participating in a user pay event, which is not unusual. Deputy Commissioner Hudson said, post the incident, we believe the gun may have been stored at Balmain Police Station before being returned to Miranda the following day. Now, the police have not confirmed the whereabouts of the weapon between when it was signed out of Miranda Station on Thursday and when it was stored at Balmain on Monday. And now we are going to return to the search efforts across the weekend, as more has been said about that just this morning. So, in short, the police have confirmed that they are searching a property at Bungonia near Goulburn, southwest of Sydney, for the bodies of Sydney couple Luke Davies and Jessie Baird. Now, the area is hundreds of kilometres away from the initial search locations in Sydney and Newcastle, and detectives say their priority is to locate the remains of the 2 missing men. Police have left the rural property at the centre of the double murder investigation, or double homicide investigation, with a spokeswoman confirming, as of yet, nothing of interest has been found. So this is only just in the last couple of days. They are still searching. Police had been searching dams and surrounding farmland at the private property at Bungonia near Goulburn for the bodies of the 2 men. The police divers have scoured dams for about 4 hours, while officers from the riot squad remained another 3 hours. And what the riot squad were doing is they were conducting a ground search for any evidence that could lead them to the bodies. They also seized a small tinny, and that's just a small fishing boat, that was seized from the property and was taken for forensic testing, but the teams of police filed out of the farm gate, unfortunately with no new evidence at the moment. Now, this has just come in from 9 News Australia this morning, and they have spoken to Gary Jubilin, and if any of you are familiar with a lot of the true crime and missing persons and homicide cases in Australia, Gary Jubilin is a former New South Wales Police homicide detective, and they spoke to him this morning on the Today Show. Gary Jubilin was also the police officer who was at the head of the William Tyrrell case. And I have not presented William Tyrrell on my channel yet because there is still evidence being collected on that case, but I will present it in the future on the channel. So what former New South Wales Police homicide detective Gary Jubilin says is he believes the investigators are close to retrieving the bodies of the alleged murdered Sydney couple Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. He just said he believed that they may be close. He's not saying they are just yet. So, as we just said, dozens of New South Wales police officers yesterday scoured the property in Bungonia, and with officers combing through dams and the surrounding grassland. At Cames, authorities revealed the alleged killer, by Lamar Condon, may have dumped the bodies and then returned later to move them. So they could have been on the Bungonia property and been moved elsewhere. We just don't know at this stage. The search of the property has resumed this morning, so I'd say it is happening like right now. And police divers are not expected to return, but another search will take place at Grays Point in Sydney South, where the white Hi-Ace van hired by Lamar Condon was left. And Gary Jubilin would go on to say, I think we're in a good position to recover the bodies. And he told that to Today this morning. He has not said that they have found Jessie or Luke just yet. So they have not yet been found as of this intel that's come in this morning, but they are still looking for them. And from what Gary Jubilin is saying, I think he thinks they may be close to actually finding them. So let's hope that they do find Jessie and Luke so that at least they can be taken back into their families and laid to rest in the manner that they deserve, because, you know, these people who unalive other people and just leave them laying around like garbage, it's absolutely disgusting. And there's just, I have no words for it. Gary would also go on to say, Gary Jubilin, they certainly had to hold information back and release the information when they think it's tactically the best time for the information to go out. But I've got to say, like with all the things that are coming in, you can never say with certainty. But I think they're very much on track to recovery. Jubilin described the investigation as incredibly delicate, and that's true of a lot of cases when it's within the first few days. I would imagine how frenzied the police would be working on this. It's not just one crime scene, it's multiple crime scenes, he said. There's all this information that would be received. They'd be collating the information. And he would also say that he's sure they've got their analysts on it and going through it. It's incredibly delicate for the police to release the information because ultimately it will end up in front of the courts. So they do have to be very, very careful when and how they release information. Yesterday evening, New South Wales Police confirmed a critical incident had been declared, opening up wider scrutiny in the investigation of the alleged double homicide. A critical incident is defined as an incident involving a New South Wales police officer that results in serious injury or death of a person. And that was quoted by Gary Jubilin. New South Wales Police notified the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission, LECC, shortly after the critical incident was declared. New South Wales Police is responsible for the investigation of critical incidents, and a team from the State Crime The LECC then monitors the critical incident investigation in order to ensure that it is thorough and objective. It is likely this investigation will examine Lamar Condon's time at the force and an incident when he tasered a man in the face during an arrest, and the signing in and out of his service weapon in the days leading up to and after the alleged homicides. So earlier, Deputy Commissioner Dave Hudson also said there were still gaps in the timeline between the gunshots being heard at Baird's Paddington address last Monday morning to the arrest of Lamar Condon last Friday. And I'm just going to go over this again because it is quite a complicated case already. I'm just going to say the information that I've found and what Deputy Commissioner Hudson has said today. So he said today Lamar Condon was believed to have hired the white Hi-Ace van from Sydney Airport on Monday evening after he is alleged to have unalived Baird, his ex-partner, and Luke Davies. On Tuesday, February 20, we will allege that partial admissions were made by the accused to an acquaintance of having been involved in the death of the two individuals. As we all know, on Wednesday last week, and that was the 21st, bloodied clothing was found at Cronulla, causing the police to launch a missing persons investigation, and homicide were notified due to the circumstances in which the clothing was found. Mr. Hudson also says, I can indicate that on the same day, the Wednesday, the accused, we believe, attended the Bungonia area with an acquaintance who was not involved in anything, but she is assisting the police with their inquiries and has been quite helpful. Hudson emphasised that the acquaintance, a woman described as a long-term friend, as we just said, was in no way a suspect, and that there was no indication that she was aware of the alleged homicides. When asked today whether she knew there may have been two bodies in the vehicle, Hudson responded, we believe not. And as he said, he was saying to the press that the witness or the acquaintance of Lamar Condon is fully cooperating with the police and being as helpful as she possibly can. He also went on to say, we believe that the acquaintance assisted the accused in purchasing an angle grinder and a padlock from a local hardware store in that area before driving to the rural property in Bungonia. He said the ankle grinder was used to sever a padlock from the gate of that particular rural property, and subsequently that padlock was replaced with a padlock purchased from the hardware store. Hudson said Lamar Condon, driving the Hi-Ace van, left his acquaintance at the top of the property for about 30 minutes before returning to pick her up. So that is some considerable time that she wasn't with him, that he was alone. That's plenty of time to move and hide bodies. At 11 p.m. on Wednesday, Lamar Condon is believed to have bought weights from a department store before then returning to the property. We can indicate at 4:30 a.m. on Thursday morning, we can place the accused leaving the Bungonia area once again, Mr. Hudson said. It would appear that the accused has remained in the city area, still in control of the white Hi-Ace van, before attending a further acquaintance's premises in the Newcastle area, and without fully disclosing any criminality, access to a hose to clean out the van. Lamar Condon is believed to have returned to Sydney just after 6 a.m. on Friday, before finally surrendering to police earlier that morning. Hudson said despite the current focus on the Bungonia property, it was not necessarily thought to be where Lamar Condon ultimately ended up dumping the bodies. He alleged that Lamar Condon may have grown suspicious, that he had disclosed too much to his acquaintance, and so returned to the property to move the bodies. We also believe that it's possible the accused, in that gap in the timeline, has returned to the property and retrieved the bodies and disposed of them somewhere else. We're still working through that theory, Hudson added. There are missing gaps in the timeline for us on Thursday last week. We believe that the white Hi-Ace van was in possession of the accused, and we would like further information from any member of the public or any acquaintance of the accused who he has sought help from. Post what he was saying, post what we say was the time that he allegedly unalived both Jesse and Luke. New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb issued a statement yesterday afternoon, and that's yesterday, as in Monday, addressing the investigation. And Karen Webb said, "I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of Luke Davies and Jesse Baird. It is difficult to comprehend the grief and pain of their loss," she said. "I acknowledge this week's events are distressing for many, and I share the sadness and shock about the alleged nature of Luke and Jesse's deaths. I understand that there are many unanswered questions, and while I cannot comment on the matter before the courts, I can reassure Luke and Jesse's loved ones and the people of New South Wales that we are working around the clock to find the answers. I ask the community to have patience as police work to determine what happened. As our investigation continues, I would ask anyone who has any information that could assist to please come forward and contact us." And as always, you can contact the Sydney Police if you have anything that may help in this case to Crime Stoppers. 1800 333 000. And that is where I need to leave this case for the moment. The minute any more information comes to hand, I will be updating. Thank you all again so much for watching, and keep Jesse and Luke and their friends and family in your hearts and prayers. And I will be doing a separate video as more news comes to hand about the police officer that they have charged with the alleged homicides of Jesse and Luke Beau Lamar Condon in the coming days, so stay tuned for that. I really wanted to focus on Jesse and Luke for this video, which is why I haven't gone into him too much. And there's going to be more information that emerges about Beau Lamar Condon, and I just want to sit on it for a few days to see if anything more comes out about him. So as always, stay safe, everybody. I want to see my subscribers coming back week after week. So stay safe, and I will see you all in my next video. I'm not sure when that's going to be as these cases progress. I am still monitoring the case of the missing Ballarat mother, Samantha Murphy, and I will continue to monitor this case. So as breakthroughs or leads or anything else comes to light, I will be updating as soon as I possibly can. So I will see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching.